55 points for North Central, 0 for Elmhurst. That comes on homecoming weekend. The Cardinals with a big victory, moving to 7-1. We'll have head coach Jeff Thorne on to talk about that, and we meet the new women's basketball coach. All that and more is next on the Red Zone.
The presenting sponsor of the Red Zone is Athletico, the preferred provider of physical therapy and athletic training for North Central College.
Welcome into the Red Zone, and head coach of the football team, Jeff Thorne, is joining me on set. And coach, big win against Elmhurst, 55-0, third shutout of the season. That ties the program record for most in the season. Got to talk about that defense. First and foremost, 9 sacks on the day is what stands out most.
They played terrific football again. You know, and we've talked about this in prior weeks. We're a young team, and we have been improving week to week, which is what you hope for. So we're going to need that again on Saturday against Wesleyan, but it's really great to see our defensive line and linebackers get to the quarterback. That was one area that we've really stressed for the last several weeks because our sack numbers were down.
Yeah.
So getting 9 sacks in a game is a great way to get healthy quickly.
It felt like you were inches away from sacks in prior weeks. You landed them here. What has been the progress? But is it just the young guys kind of maturing?
That has a lot to do with it, and just understanding I got to keep going. A lot of the times when we were close to sacks, we had guys that pulled up on a blitz or for whatever reason just kind of froze and didn't finish a play. And we're starting to see that disappear, which is encouraging.
Young defense, however, with that third shutout, the record is within sight if you could make another shutout this season. What does it say about this defense that has so many moving parts, that has so many young players step in, but they've already produced at a really high level this season? Well,
Coach Durking and our defensive staff, they're doing a terrific job. And, you know, you look at what happened at Wheaton. We struggled and made so many mistakes, and they've done a terrific job of simplifying the defense and making it, allowing our guys to play fast.
Yeah.
And you're seeing the results. So week in and week out, the work they're putting in and, you know, the schemes that we're using to fit the talent that we have, I'm just really, really happy with the job that they've done.
Speaking of fast, how about Ben Wong? We haven't talked about this guy. He's kind of overshadowed by DJ Workenthien. Everybody kind of is with DJ's production, but Ben comes up with 9 tackles in this game, and he looks really good as a kind of just a middle linebacker that you're used to having.
We've got a few guys that have played in there. You know, we're going to talk to Bryan here in a minute. Bryan's had some time inside. Storm Simmons played fantastic against Carthage. This was Ben's week and played really, really well. So we've got some talented young guys again that are on the inside. They're doing some good things.
Taha Ihan and DJ Workenthien, 2 sacks apiece. And you talk about speed on the edge. It seems like those 2 guys could be coming up big down the stretch.
I hope so. You know, I hope that they meet at the quarterback a few times in the next couple of weeks. But Taha, it's been fun to watch him really come to life the last 2 weeks. We've been waiting on that, and it's been sorely needed. When he can get going and use that speed off the edge, it opens things up for our defensive tackles and certainly DJ as well.
Let's talk about this offense. Obviously 55 points put up on the board. Something went right. 5 touchdowns for Brock, but he's got some competition coming his way. Cam Moore.
Yeah, Cam made a nice play, nice throw for a touchdown to Kaminsky. That was good to see. We can't play football turning the ball over 4 times, though. Fumbled it 4 times, lost 4 in one half of football, all in plus territory. So we talked about that at halftime, and I thought our focus was better in the second half.
Brock throwing those 5 touchdowns again, spreading the wealth. He found Corey Hardeman coming up with a couple of big catches. Is it fun having the 5th-year senior emerge as not just like a complimentary guy, but he could be a featured guy in this offense?
I think somewhere along the line, Corey ran into the river of life and has found new legs. I mean, the guy, he's so much fun to have around. He's dealt with a lot of injuries and setbacks in his career. So seeing him as a 5th-year senior, having the kind of season he is, for what he's put in and the investment he's made, to see him get the return on investment has really been fun to watch.
On that 52-yard touchdown, he said he didn't know how much further he could have gone. He's feeling pretty old at the end of that run.
I believe him. I believe him.
Didn't show it on the next touchdown catch, though. But we're talking about coming up on this next week, the offensive line is going to have to show up, especially in pass protection, as you try and keep Brock clean. How are they doing in that area of the game?
They've done well. I mean, the Carthage game, we gave up 5, which was disappointing. This week we gave up 2 sacks. So we've got work to do, and Wesleyan's got a really, really good front 7. And they like to blitz and bring pressure. So we need to be prepared and use technique, and if we can keep Brock clean, he's pretty good.
Is it a fun chess match when you have a team coming up like an Illinois Wesleyan. We'll talk more about them coming up, but when you have an offensive line that is coming together as well as this one is it fun knowing that you could do certain things against a defense like that?
Well, you have to look at your opponent and find out what can we execute against this team, our people against their people. And certainly you have to look at their schemes they're using and what you use, and then put a game plan together. It's fun to play teams that are really, really talented and well coached, and they're going to give you a battle. So it's been an exciting week.
Well, we're going to check the tape and close the book on Elmhurst, and then we'll take a look at the Titans.
Sounds good.
Check the tape is coming up. We'll be right back on the Red Zone.
This Red Zone segment is brought to you by Arena Americas, specialists in providing full-service rental solutions for events and special occasions of all sizes.
And we're back, and now it's time to check the tape, and we put this guy on the tape a whole bunch, Tommy Highland, and once again, he shows off his speed coming around the edge and actually comes in the middle here, and he's doing pretty well. Yeah,
we had a stunt on there, and Taha dove inside, Tommy wrapped around and was able to get free. And again, we talked about it last week. His speed is just so rare for a defensive tackle at this level. And when he's able to get loose, he can track quarterbacks down, which is not common.
Well, and then the second part of that play is he came hacking down with that right arm, trying to jar the ball loose. Is that something you try to instruct your guys to do?
Yeah, you want to try to. I mean, it happened to Brock in the game against us. You want to try to find that football, and if it's in one hand and you can chop on that arm, chances are it's going to come free.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Next play I want to get to is Andrew Kaminsky. This guy, and we've talked about this in weeks past, is he could be one of the program's best. And this play is, it's one of his go-tos. Yeah,
you forget that he's a sophomore. It's really pretty remarkable what he's doing. Extremely talented coming out of high school, and so excited to get him last year. But the chemistry that he and Brock have, we've talked about in the past too. It continues to show itself. Timing routes, just that trust is there.
You talk about physical attributes of a wide receiver, but route running, I feel like, is probably one of the most overlooked things. Is he just that precise of a route runner?
You have to have speed. I mean, you got to be able to run and separate from defenders. So Drew has that. Yeah. But you couple that with great route running and just this. There's a certain amount of football IQ and savvy that you have to have as a receiver to understand where the holes are. A lot of receivers can get open. Yeah. But if they're not open when the quarterback's ready to throw in the ball, it doesn't do any good. So they're open too early or they get open too late. Yeah. You don't worry about that with Drew.
Is that an instinctual thing?
Some of it is, yeah. Yep.
It's pretty cool. Last play I want to get to is Taha, another sack. And we talked about him in the first segment, but this is a guy that came into college as a converted linebacker into a defensive end. And, I mean, he has speed in spades.
Yeah, it's just he did such a great job on Saturday of working around and beating his man with speed, and then other times when they did get a piece of him, he got to quarterback depth, and we teach, hey, you got to fall back in, and he did a great job of that too. Just really played his best game as a Cardinal in his year and a half he's been with us. He was fantastic. So, very happy with him.
Now let's move on. So Illinois Wesleyan is around the corner. They're coming up this week. And this could very well determine the conference. Yeah. What is the conversation revolving going into this game, trying to get the team in the right mental state?
We're playing another football game, quite frankly. It's another game on our road towards achieving what we set out to achieve. You don't have to tell the guys this is a big game. They know. It's a big game. And it's for the conference championship, provided we're able to. If we win, we'd have to win again. Right. But if we don't win, we can't win a conference championship. So the guys are well aware of that. Extremely talented team, and they're tough to play in Bloomington.
What makes that team so tough? Because they're tough every year. It always comes down to you, Wheaton, Illinois Wesleyan, then you might throw in a Milliken or a WashU. But what makes Illinois Wesleyan year in and year out one of the tougher teams?
Extremely well coached. I mean, Coach Esch has been doing this for years. He's very, very good at what he does. So they're always going to be prepared. They do a great job recruiting. They always have really talented players. Yeah. And then this year, they've got a great quarterback. And when you got a great quarterback, you don't have to look any farther than what we've been able to do with a great quarterback. when you have a great quarterback, there's a lot of things that you can do, and he poses a lot of different threats. Great thrower. He also runs the ball. He's got a great crew of receivers. And defensively, they're always really, really good.
Brandon Bowers, the quarterback you're alluding to, and this is a guy that has dual threat capabilities. As a defense, and obviously you kind of hand that over to Shane Durkin, but as the conversation revolves around that, making sure the defense is prepared to be on their keys, is that a more difficult conversation? Yeah,
you know, there's a few extra things you have to prepare for when you have to deal with a running quarterback, because really it's an extra gap that you have to defend. So accounting for him is a challenge. Yeah. And our guys are working really hard to make sure that we have a plan together so that we can keep him corralled. 38 is as good as any receiver in the conference, the Healy kid, and he's 6'5", so that poses another set of issues. Yeah. So they're a tough team to prepare for. And like I said, when the quarterback plays at a high level, and he does, he's a tremendous competitor. I love the kid. I love watching him play. I love how he plays. I hate playing against him. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be an exciting game.
How fun is this kind of game for you as a coach? Gearing up for a game of this gravity at the end of the season, you know that this is the game to circle.
Yeah, this is why you do this. This is why you coach. It's why you play. Yeah. If you don't get excited, if your juices don't start flowing in this type of week, then you probably should do something else, quite honestly.
Coach, it's also Halloween time, and this is your time for your quick hit. Well, when you used to go trick-or-treating, or maybe you still do, who knows? Yeah. What was your least favorite candy you get in the old trick-or-treat bag?
Well, I would, you know, when we lived in the same house for a long time, I would mark the house that handed out Mounds or Almond Joy, and I would just cross them off my list. I wouldn't go because I just can't eat that. You know, the coconut stuff, it just wasn't for me.
See, I'm a big fan of the Almond Joys.
Oh, well, good for you. I'm glad. I should have given them to you.
You should have gone to the houses.
When my kids get them, I'll bring them in next week.
Now, what's your favorite candy bar? What were the houses that you
know, the
circled?
go-to is the Snickers.
Snickers.
Snickers, I like the 100-gram bar, Reese's.
See, I don't like Snickers, so we'll make the swap.
There you go. We'll trade.
Perfect.
Deal.
Coach, good luck at Illinois Wesleyan.
Thanks, Kevin.
Coming up next, we'll have a couple of players joining me on set. We'll be right back on the Red Zone. Rudder, far side, completed to Hardemus, shakes one tackler and sheds a second. Up the field he goes and into the end zone for the second time on the afternoon. Corey Hardemus finds Pater.
Holy shifting is Batman.
Fifth-year senior Corey Hardemus steps up and nabs the Red Zone's play of the game for making 3 men miss en route to the end zone, his 4th TD of 2018.
Welcome back into the Red Zone, and I want to start with you, Alex. We go into the offense, and 5 touchdowns for Brock. You catch one of them. How fun is it playing with a guy like Brock Rudder?
Oh, it's so much fun. You know, Brock is dedicated to the film, so that's why he's having so much success as he is. He literally lives in the office with our coaching staff, and he just brings the energy for us. You know, he keeps us composed, and whenever someone makes a mistake, he's never blaming you. You know, it's always how you can get better and how you can correct it.
I heard he's one of the bigger goofs on the team, too. We see the serious side of him on the field and when he's on the Red Zone, but I heard he's a pretty fun guy to be around.
Oh, definitely a locker room clown, for sure.
Really? Why?
He just has that attitude about him where, like I said, he's never yelling at anyone. Yeah. You know, it's always how you can get better, and that just translates to he's always giving you the elbow or something like that, you know?
Bit of a diva too. Not to mention he's got 3 lockers right now.
3 lockers?
Yeah, lockers right next to him. He's kind of starting to take over that side of the room a little bit. You know, he's got to have his space. He's just got to have his space. You know, he's got to have space for his shoes and his cleats and his helmet. So it's pretty funny.
Brian, who's the biggest goof on the defensive side?
Biggest goof on the defensive side? Surprisingly, I'd say probably Pat. Pat
really?
Yeah, Pat can get pretty goofy sometimes. He's a very, serious, very intense person, but, when he gets in his goofy mood, he's pretty hilarious to be around.
I've only seen him in that serious mode because, I mean, when you see him on the field, he is intense.
Yeah, he is. But, hanging around him in the locker room, he's right in that same area with me, Brock, and DJ, and yeah, he can be a goofball sometimes, that's for sure.
Now let's talk about that defense. And we were just talking offset, young guys, but you guys are moving fast around the field. Is it enjoyable to be part of the system right now?
Oh yeah. It's a lot of fun, especially to kind of see all these younger guys grow up and you can feel their confidence building each and every single week. With people like Lindmark and Beasley and Ziegler and all these guys, they're really starting to kind of find themselves and really starting to click. And that's apparent in our defense and how we've been playing. And it's just been really fun to be around.
A lot of playmakers in that linebacking core. You, Storm, Ben, and then DJ.
Yeah.
But what is it like being a part of that core and being so versatile with the skill sets that you have?
I mean, I love our linebacker room. It's awesome, between DJ and Ben and Storm and Wolf, and now adding Greenberg into our linebacker core. It's just a great group of guys to be around and really kind of enjoy being around. And not to mention, on the field, we're all able to make plays. So that's really been fun and joyful.
Now, we talked about the passing game. You're also kind of an extension of the offensive line, so you're working with those guys as well. Some young guys on that group as well. Sharmore started as a freshman last year. Now he's one of the veteran members of that group. Is it fun being able to watch them kind of come together on that line? Yeah, definitely. So Will Ebert's the other young guy. Yeah. And he's slowly getting better. He's learning with the guys, and it's fun to see them come together as that group. So we started the season off with multiple combinations on the offensive line. Yeah. And now we've started the last few games with the same guys, with an exception of Nate Gray, who's coming back from an injury. But it's fun to see them kind of collect themselves and really come together. We always see personalities on the offensive line. I think that's probably a requirement. Who's one of the bigger personalities on that group? Oh, I definitely have to say Rick Sturba. Really? Yeah, he's a great guy. He's definitely another goofball in the locker room. He's always got a smile on his face, and he's always getting guys to lighten up. I feel like if you put him out to catch some passes, I feel like he'd do pretty well. He's got some speed. He's got hands. He's got hands too? Yes, sir. Interesting. Let's talk about those running backs. You got Greenfield, you've got Magalu, you've got Hill. It feels like the stable goes super far deep. Ladico is a running back that has flashed this year. What are those guys looking like from your perspective? No matter who we have in the backfield, I know someone's going to make a play. Yeah. Whether it's Zane or whether it's Greenfield, Magalu, any of those guys are going to come up big for us. Yeah. Now you've got an ex-NFL player in the room with you when you guys are studying film. What's that like?
Coach Sinclair, I mean, it's just so much knowledge. I mean, you can hear it in the way he talks and how he, explains things. He knows football, and obviously, he's been around the game for a long time. Yeah. And it's really refreshing to kind of get that from that perspective, someone who's been there and someone who's been in these situations and tells you, like, okay, he'll give us stories like, okay, well, I remember this time I messed up this, so this is, So it's been great to have him around and be able to learn from him. If he strapped on pads and hit the field, how many tackles does he ring up in the game? I think he racks up at least 25 in the game. At least 25. That's awesome. Now, Illinois Wesleyan's coming up. Brian, I want to ask you about this. This is an offense that's dynamic. They've got a lot of different facets to them. Is it fun gearing up for that kind of challenge? Oh, yeah. Anytime you're challenged in a game like this, it's always a fun time. Yeah. Illinois Wesleyan's got a great offense. They're averaging, 35, 40 points a game. Yep. Their quarterback, Brendan Bauer, he's a gamer. You guys talked about him earlier. He loves to play, and he's very competitive. And they also got a lot of tools outside on the edge and even in the run box. So anytime you have a game like this, it's always a fun challenge. That's awesome. And offensively, that they're going to be coming at you. They're going to be pinning their ears back and getting at Brock. What kind of challenge is that for you guys? We're just going to make sure that we're ready to pick up all their pressures that they're bringing. Like Coach said, they got a great front seven. Last year, they had a few guys come up big against us, so we're just preparing to keep those guys in lock. Should be a really fun game, and it makes it all the more tougher that you have to go down to Bloomington to face the Titans. You guys ready for the quick hits? Yes, sir. It is Halloween week, so these are Halloween-themed questions. Alex, we'll start with you. What's the best Halloween costume that you've ever donned? Ooh, the best costume is actually a homemade costume by my mother. Really? Yeah, I was in the 3rd grade, and I was a huge Dragon Ball Z fan. Nice. Yeah, so she made this great Goku costume for me, and it was all homemade, so that was a cool thing. Do you have the yellow hair and everything? Yellow hair and everything. Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool. Brian? I'd say probably I don't know about best, but I'd say probably my favorite Halloween costume. When I was younger, my older brother races, so what I would always do, I did it for like 3 or 4 years straight. I would just take one of his old racing suits and wear a helmet around everywhere, and everyone would be like, "Oh, are you a spaceman?" Like, no, I'm a race car driver. Yeah. So that was probably my favorite one I've ever had. That's awesome. That's so cool. Brian, we'll go to the next one. We'll start with you this time. Which teammate would you pick to take on a werewolf? Yeah, this was a tough decision sitting over there thinking about it. But I'd say if I had to go in and fight a werewolf, I'm probably taking Jake Bashaw with me.
Really?
Yeah, just a big brawler. Get him in there, and have him hit some body shots into him.
So you'd take a step behind him and let him go to work?
Yeah, I'd probably finish off the werewolf, but I'd let Bashaw do a lot of the work.
Alex, how about you?
Another old lineman, Sean Clark.
Oh, yeah.
This guy, he's going to take the werewolf and just drive
him back.
Yeah, just drive him to the ground.
Alex, we'll finish this off with you. Least favorite candy you get during trick-or-treating?
Without a doubt, it's going to be candy corn. You know, I'm getting those, and I'm trying to trade them with someone. I'm tossing them something.
See, apparently I have a bad taste in candy is what I'm hearing, because I don't mind candy corn.
Oh, jeez.
Bryan, how about you?
I'd say probably Milky Way. I'm not a big fan of the Milky Ways. I'm not sure why, but for some reason, just never really enjoyed them too much.
I am disagreeing with everybody today. You guys are killing me. Guys, thanks so much for hopping on. Good luck at Illinois Wesleyan.
Thank you.
We're going to the Cardinal Corner next. We'll be right back on the Red Zone.
This Red Zone segment is sponsored by Belgio's Catering.
Steps are being taken inside Gregory Arena. After a 5-20 season, the Cardinals' high-flying offense will certainly slow down in 2018 under new head coach Maggie McCloskey-Bax. But they will still shoot. You don't have to take it from me. Take it from the only returning member of the coaching staff, Eric Gruber.
She was a fantastic shooter at Loyola. She set NCAA records, so she wants to be able to space the floor, and that's kind of the similarity, I would say. Coach Roof and her like to shoot.
As a player at the University of Chicago Loyola, Bax holds the NCAA record for consecutive games with a three-point field goal, 69, and holds the Horizon League's record for most threes in a career with 325. But despite being a Division I record holder, Bax has embraced Division III, making prior stops as an assistant at Ohio Wesleyan and Carthage.
I believe in the philosophy a lot more at the Division III level. I like the balance of life for the students and for the coaches, so I think that helped me kind of get to this level and understand what I wanted to do. It's still really competitive basketball, but I think the girls get more out of their education at that level, so it kind of kept me there, and then I just kept working my way to Carthage and then to here.
Now, if you thought turning a 5-20 team around is a tall enough task, well, consider this. Bax is going into her first season as a head coach.
The way Coach Bax is coming in and handled things has been fantastic. Everyone's all ears, all eyes every time she talks. It doesn't look like people are disengaged. Everyone is all in, fighting for the same goals.
But despite being responsible for a team with a decreasing win total in each of the last 4 seasons, Bax is actually relishing the opportunity to provide a tour at North Central.
It was really exciting. It's one of my goals for my entire life is to be a head coach. So knowing that it starts here is such an amazing experience for me. North Central I've known about my entire life, and Naperville is such a great area. So not only on a personal level, but a professional level, this is just like the most perfect spot for me.
And get this, it's all about to come full circle. The Cardinals will face Bax's old team, the Ramblers, in an exhibition game on November 3rd.
It'll be weird to be on that court, and I think my parents are just as excited to see how crazy it'll be to watch me on the court during my college days and then now to see me coach here. So it's definitely come full circle.
Ironically, a trip to her old stomping grounds provides a chance to take her first steps as the Cardinals head coach.
Welcome back, and to close out the show, Clark Teuscher, Sports Information Director of North Central College. And Clark, as you so wisely predicted in the past, this conference meet going the way that you expected it to. The men finished 1 through 9 and number 11, but that's the 45th consecutive conference title for this team.
Yeah, you don't even need a functional crystal ball to look into that future. You know, that's certainly, you know, what we thought might happen. And, you know, we didn't quite expect that the race would be over within the first mile, but it certainly, you know, appeared to be that case. Everybody was just kind of like, okay, let them go do their thing, and then, you know, we'll take care of the rest of our business here. But I believe we've never actually had all 10 of the top 10 finishers. I think that's as good as we've ever done in terms of overall depth of the field. Our number 11 finisher, Thomas Rohr, is the one freshman we had in the race. He was the conference freshman of the year. So definitely a good thing to see for future and a very senior-laden top group there.
Yeah.
But even considering what they were comparing themselves against from previous years, certainly an impressive performance.
Let's talk about the women's race, because Maddie Skop and Diane Barajas ran extremely strong races, and they came up a little short of first place, but second place is, I mean, that's a great finish for this team.
Well, we knew it would be between them and Wheaton for the title, and Wheaton obviously an excellent team. They have been for several years now. And they did what we might have expected them to do. They ran strong at the front of the pack, and that's going to get, when you have the top 2 finishers in the race, that's a pretty good vantage point to start from. Maddie is a very patient runner in a race of that distance. That benefits her. They know the course very well. I think half the teams in the conference host meets on it during the year.
Yep.
Diane's one of the ones that's, she's had some injury issues, so her training hasn't been that consistent. But to finish 7th in a quality field like that, coming off of having not raced for a couple of weeks, definitely speaks to kind of her toughness and her mindset that she was going to be there to compete for her teammates. And I think there's still a lot to compete for as they get ready for regionals on the 10th.
It was a fun day. It was a good day to be a Cardinal at St. James Farm.
Definitely, always.
Let's go to triathlon, a different style race, perhaps even more grueling, if you will. At least in my mind, it looks like it is. But they're coming up on nationals.
Yeah, they're heading out this weekend to Tempe, Arizona. It's the same site of last year's national championship, so there's some familiarity with the course there and with the format. I think our team will go in there as the prohibitive favorite. They've won handily at both of the national qualifying meets that they went to. And really, certainly there's an individual national championship element to this. I don't know that they're focused that much on it right now. Grace Miller's a defending champion, but you have Naomi Hill and Kate Canfield who have taken their turns leading the team at certain points of the year. Kate in particular, last year she was an outstanding swimmer, recognized that she had room to improve in the cycling and running portions of the race, trained very hard on those in the off season, and has really reaped the benefits for that. And Naomi endured some injury setbacks her freshman year. She's been healthy throughout this season, and I think we've seen a lot of improvement as a result there. So really it could be, it's a lot like the men's team. The order could shuffle from week to week, but the team result tends to remain the same. It's
cool to sit here in the last week of October and think, school championships number 36 and 37 could be right around the corner.
Yeah, that's a good time to, that's a good kind of busy to have.
Yeah.
We get busy at this time of the year anyway, but it's good to have those kinds of things because they're easy to get excited about, and people want to help out when they can around campus when you have a chance to be a part of that kind of an atmosphere.
Now, another exciting thing is basketball's about to start. I think November 10th is the first game that we'll carry live on NCTV 17, but the women's team gets an exciting experience this weekend, and they're going to face a huge school.
The women's team's got an exhibition game at Loyola University Chicago, the alma mater of our first-year head coach, Coach Bax. I think that was pretty soon after she got hired. The discussions began about her bringing the team to the Gentile Center and playing them downtown this year. It's a really good opportunity for our team to kind of see how the other half lives, so to speak, at the Division I level. It's been a lot of Division II, Division III institutions have had that opportunity with some of the larger schools who are trying to prepare for their seasons. It's really a good opportunity. It's a really, they get a chance to show a little bit of what they can do against, a team that they're going to maybe watch on TV, at the national level later in the season. The result really isn't so much important as the process and getting prepared for the season and being ready for when the lights turn on for the regular season following week.
Well, I'm excited. I'm ready for basketball. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it should be a good season.
Now, let's get you out of here on this, with it being Halloween week. We asked everybody. I've disagreed with everybody to this point. I don't try to be, but apparently my palate isn't very sophisticated. But what's your least favorite candy to have in your trick-or-treat bag?
Anything that's black licorice flavored.
Okay, I agree with him. There we go. Finally, somebody
For whatever
agrees.
reason, my mother-in-law is big on the black licorice candy, and so that's fine. She can have all of it. I don't understand the appeal at all.
Twizzlers, I'm not a huge fan of Twizzlers as a whole, but there's an orange Dreamsicle Twizzler now.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah. I'll pick you up a pack.
Heard it here first. Wow.
Yeah, right. Clark, thanks for hopping on. We appreciate it.
You got it. Thank you.
Up next for the Cardinals, a conference-deciding matchup, potentially, with the Illinois Wesleyan Titans down in Bloomington. We'll have the highlights following the game. Tune in for that. Thanks so much for tuning in to this. This is the Red Zone on NCTV 17.